Chapter 2 The Voice in the Air. That evening, when the little Poppers had put to bed, Mr. and Mrs. Popper settled down for a long, quiet evening. The neat living room of 432 Francis Avenue was much like all the other living rooms in Stillwater, except that the walls were hung with pictures from the National Geographic magazines. Mrs. Popper picked up a mending, while Mrs. Popper collected his pipe, his book, and his glove. From time to time, Mrs. Popper sighed a little as she thought of a long winter ahead. Would there really be enough beans to last? She wondered. Mr. Popper was not worried, however. As she put on his spectacles, he was quite pleased at the prospect of a whole winter of reading travel books, with no work to interrupt them. He sat his little girl beside them and began to read. "What are you reading?" asked Mrs. Popper. "I am reading a book called Arctic Adventures. It is very interesting. I tell all about the different people who have come to the South Pole and what they have found there." "Don't you ever get tired of reading about the South Pole?" "No, I don't. Of course, I would much rather go there and read about it, but reading is the next best thing." "I think it must be very boring down there," said Mrs. Popper. "It sounds very dull and cold with all the ice and snow." "Oh, no," answered Mrs. Popper. "You wouldn't think it is done to Mrs. Down of the Mewing last year." "Well, I don't think any of us had any money to movies now," answered Mr. Popper sharply. He was not interesting woman is other course will all worry about money. "If you had come, my love," went on Mr. Popper, "you would have seen how beautiful Arctic is. But I think the nicest part of all is the penguins. No wonder all the magnates producing such a good time playing with them. They are the funniest sport in the world. They don't fly like a bird. They walk legs like a little man. When they got tired walking, they would lie down on the stomach and slide. It would be very nice to have one for a pet." "Pet?" said Mrs. Popper. "First it's Bill wanting a dog and Janie begging for kittens. Now you have penguins." "But I won't have any pets around. They make too much dirt in the house, and there aren't enough to keep this place tidy, to say nothing of across the street of pets. Anyway, we have the bowl of goldfish." "Penguins were very intelligent," continued Mrs. Popper. "Listen to this, Mamma. It said here, and when they must catch some slings, they all crowd over to the edge and nice swim. Only their Jones jump in because a sea leopard might be going to eat the penguin. So they crowd and push until they manage to shove one penguin off to sea safe. I mean that he was getting enough. There wasn't no end to jump in." "Dear me," said Mrs. Popper in a shocked tone. "They sound to me like a pretty hidden birds." "It's queer things," said Mrs. Popper, "that all the polar bears live in the North Pole, and the penguins have the South Pole. I should think a penguin would also too, if they get there." At 10 o'clock, Mrs. Popper yawned and laid down her mending. "Well, you can go on the reading about those hidden birds, but I'm going to bed. Tomorrow is Thursday, September 30th, and I have to go to the meeting of the Lady and the Missionary Societies." "September 30th?" said Mrs. Popper in an excited tone. "You don't mean that tonight is Wednesday, September 29th? "Why, yes, I suppose it is. But what of it?" Mr. Popper put down his book and Arctic Adventures and moved his foot in the radio. "What of it?" he repeated, pushing his switch. "Why, this is the night of drink. Arctic Expedition going to stop broadcasting." "That's nothing," said Mr. Popper. "Just a little man at the bottom of the world saying, 'Hello, Mama. Hello, Papa.'" "Shh!" commented Mr. Popper, laying his ear close to the radio. There was a buzz, and then suddenly from the South Pole a faint voice floated out into the Popper living room. "This is Armored Drake speaking. Hello, Mama. Hello, Papa. Hello, Mr. Popper." "Gracious goodness!" exclaimed the Popper. "Did he say Papa or Popper? Hello, Mr. Popper, up there in Stillwater. Thank you for a nice letter of the picture of the latest edition. What for an answer, but not by letter, Mr. Popper. What for a surprise. Signing off, signing off." "You write the Admiral Drakes?" "Yes, I did," Mr. Popper admitted. "I wrote the Turtle Houseboat in the Penguins War." "Well, I never," said Mr. Popper. "They're much impressed." Mr. Popper picked up his little globe and found it attractive. "And to think he spoke to me all the way from there, and even mentioned my name. Mamma, what do you suppose he means by a surprise?" "I haven't any ideas," answered Mr. Popper, "but I'm going to bed. I don't want to be late for the lady and the missionary society meeting tomorrow."